Good morning. Boker Tov. Wednesday, and on Wednesday we have a special day of two shiurim that are specially dedicated to the soldiers for their safe return, and of course all the people that were kidnapped for their safe return, and for all of Am Yisrael for Hatzlacha and for Bracha. Our topic today is the origin of the conflict. Very, very close to the stories. Lech Lecha, Parshas Lech Lecha, Parshas Vayera, which is next week. In these two parshas, we discuss the story, the life story of Avraham, and the life story of Avraham includes as well his son Yishmael, and his son Yitzchak. And these are basically the two sons of Avraham, and we'll see that very, very interesting relationship between Avraham and his son Yishmael. And this is based on also Midrashim, and also what the Torah itself says very, very clearly. Very, very interesting comments about Yishmael. Special prayers that Avraham tries to pray for him, and perhaps even succeeds. And then in our parsha, there's the story of the circumcision of Avraham himself, and also Yishmael at the age of 30. Next week, we learn a bit about Yitzchak, and as we know that he was the successor and the heir to Avraham's teachings and to Avraham's life and to who he was as the founder of the Jewish nation. So there's a lot that lies in the original story that we read in Parshas Lech Lecha that perhaps is connected to our days as well. And I'm not only speaking about our days as the days that are leading to the coming of Mashiach, where we can find very, very interesting midrashim that speak about the prophecy of Bil'am, about Acharit Hayamim, which is one of the only prophecies that speaks directly about the end of days. And there it says, it's hinted that there will be a time that Yishmael will rule and conquer the world, or at least they will fight. There's an argument between the rabbis whether Edom, Rome, which is today the Western civilization, will be victorious, or Yishmael, which is basically the Muslims, whether they will be victorious. It's very interesting to know that Iran, Paras, Persians are not connected to Yishmael. They are not sons of Yishmael. They are actually sons of Yefet, Tiras, Bnei Tiras. They are the sons of Yefet, but they have nothing really to do. They have the same faith, perhaps, but they are not direct descendants of Yishmael. But there is no doubt that what is happening today in Israel, the terrible disaster and the war that we are now currently, a larger picture. This is part of a much bigger plan that we can see hints to this, perhaps not the full picture, but we do see hints. We see hints in the fact that several countries are uniting together even to form a coalition to support Israel and to get rid of the terrorists. So perhaps it's not all done for pure good reasons and out of pure care to Israel, but definitely they see the terrorists as a threat also to themselves. And we see, unfortunately, the terrible support that comes from people within Europe, within the United States, especially Muslims, especially immigrants, but not only them, people that follow their ways. So we understand that there's a bit more to it than what we basically are seeing. People that don't care about any war that's going on in the world, suddenly they care about the conflict over here. This also has to do again with morality, and this is what we're going to speak about in our shiur, trying to a bit understand morality, perhaps our role as the Jewish people in the world around us. What are people expecting from us? And how does this all have to do with the original story of Yishmael and Yitzchak? So let's talk a bit about this person, Yishmael. Abraham discovers God. He, at the age of 3 years old, he already starts to understand that there is some kind of special being. He establishes a new lifestyle, a new faith, we can call it. It was common to worship idols then. He comes and in public, he is prepared to say to everyone, idols are worthless. And that puts him in serious danger. We know that Hashem miraculously saved him in several occasions during several times, and he was saved. And then Hashem tells him, move to Eretz Israel. Of course, he moves to Eretz Israel together with his wife, Sarah. Long story short, they don't have children for many years. And when they don't have children for many years, so what Sarah actually suggests to Abraham is you can marry Hagar. Who was Hagar? Hagar was the daughter of the Pharaoh that lived in Egypt, and she wanted to marry Abraham. Abraham did not allow that, so she said, you know what, at least I will be your servant, and she became Abraham's and Sarah's servant. So Sarah says, you know what, go marry her. And Sarah gets very upset after she sees that Abraham likes her. And she starts driving her miserable. Hagar runs away, leaves the home. And on that way, and this is where we first come across the special relationship between Hashem and Yishmael, Hashem and Hagar. And this is the first place that we see it in our parsha. After Sarah basically causes Hagar to run away, she runs away to the desert. And what happens there in the desert, moment. What happens in the desert is that the angel of God finds her in the middle of the desert, close to a source of water, and asks her, where are you going? She says, I'm running away from Sarah, my master. And the angel says, return to your master, and you will suffer under your hands. But you should know that you are pregnant and you are about to have a son. And you should call him Yishmael. Why Yishmael? Yishmael comes from the word Yishma, listen, Shama. Kel is Hashem. Hashem heard your suffering, heard your pain. And not only that, but I will make your children or your future generations plenty of them, and they won't be you won't be able to count them. There will be so much. Not only that, so here we see that there's a clear special relationship between Hashem and Yishmael. Why is it so? Why does Hashem take so much care to make sure Shama Hashem, not only that he wants him to live on, but he's going to make, he'll have lots of children, and his name, the whole point of his name is basically because Hashem has heard your prayers. And then, of course, it says, Hu yeh pere Adam, yado bakol, v'yad kol bo, which means that he will be Pere Adam. There are a few ways to explain it. It depends on the several commenters, but the Yiddish translation is Avil de Chaya. That's as some people say, they explain it that he will be rebellious. Some people say that he will be a hunter, go to the desert, and as it says afterwards, that he was very good at archery. So this will be his nature. Not only that, it says, Yado bakol v'yad kol bo, v'al pnei kol echav yishkon. And he will settle amongst all of his brothers. Now, I wonder, and this is, you can see it in the commenters, the commenters split in different directions explaining, today we know clearly what the meaning of al pnei kol echav yishkon, that he will rest upon all of his brothers. We see it very clearly, right? We see the immigrants that are coming from all the Muslim countries. France is full of them. England is full of them. All of Europe, South America, pretty much a significant amount of the world. So today we know the meaning, but then you can see in Rashi that Rashi sticks to the basic explanation, Pshuto shel Mikra. So what Rashi says is, Al pnei kol echav yishkon, which means he'll have a significant proportion of the world population. So he will be, let's say the world population is 7 billion people. So he will be a big amount of those, of the population of the world. Because again, Rashi does not go according to the tales, he goes according to the basic explanation. And the Ramban, he brings a very interesting idea. He says that not only they will stay peacefully and they will sit together with their brothers, but they're going to fight their brothers. With all the nations. They will fight with all the nations. And once again, this perhaps explains why a lot of the nations are supporting Israel at this time, not only out of our favor, but they do understand that this is the beginning of a global Muslim terror jihad war against the Western civilization. And again, there were ups and downs. This is not the first time that this is happening, but they see once again the extreme actions that have been taken. So that is the way that the Ramban says. By the way, there are opinions. It says, Rabbi Avram says, Yenatzeach mitchila et kol hagoyim. By the way, there are tales that do say that Yishmael, they will win over, they will beat all the other nations. And then afterwards, they will be beaten. So here, this is a bit to describe who Yishmael is. It's a Pere Adam that he, and some of the commenters also say that they live in the desert, and that's again to go and describe them. But once again, our question is, what is their role over here? Why does Hashem favor them so much? Not only that he favors them and makes them to, that he makes them fruitful, and in that case, they will have many, many children, but he calls him Yishmael. So this is what we have to face. This is our main question today. By the way, it doesn't end only with the relationship between God and Yishmael. There is a very, very special relationship between Avram and Yishmael, and soon, yes, we'll speak about Brit Milah. we'll see that there's a big part of the Brit Milah that plays a role in the story here. Brit Milah happens towards the end of the Parsha. Right before the Parsha, and this is also very interesting, Hashem says, I have Avram, I want to tell you, I've got a special gift for you, right? You know, when someone tells you, I've got a special gift, okay, it draws all the attention. I've got a special gift for you. And Hashem tells him, I want to establish a covenant. I want to make a covenant between me and you. What is the covenant? The covenant is that you make sure that you and all of your children after you circumcise on the 8th day. Brit Milah. And I, in return, my part in this covenant is, of course, to protect you, to keep you safe. But not only that, I am going to give you the promised land. I am going to give you Eretz Yisrael. V'nasati lecha ulezaracha acharecha eis eretz megurecha. Eis kol eretz Kenan lachuzas olam v'hayisi lahem lelokim. I am prepared to give you the promised land, and this is on one condition, that you circumcise yourself, your children after you, and this becomes something real. By the way, this is a common mitzvah that everyone does till this very day. Bris Milah, no one asks any questions. Everyone does it. Even if a person that's not observant, he doesn't keep Shabbos, a Bris Milah is something that we do. We all do. But what is the deep connection between the Bris Milah and the story of the land? Why does it have to do? Is there a fair? Is this a fair covenant? Is this a fair trade? What is the connection in the first place to the land? Why to the land? So this is our second question of today. First question: why does Hashem favor Abraham? Favor Yishmael. Take such good care of him. Second question is, what is the story behind the covenant between Hashem and us? We circumcise, Hashem gives us the promised land. And the third question has to do with Avram answering Hashem and bringing his reply, giving his reply to Hashem, speaking to Hashem about this deal. And Avram says very interesting words. Vayomer Avram, by the way, Hashem promises Avram, you will have a son from Sarah. And Avram says, Vayomer Avram el ha'elokim, Lu Yishmael yichyeh lefanecha. Please Hashem, I don't need, I'm bringing it in simple letters. I don't want another son. I don't see a need for another son. I have Yishmael. I want him to live in front of you. Make him the heir to my job. Of course, make sure that he will return the tshuva, that he will do tshuva, and he will follow your ways. But I don't need another son. I have Yishmael already. This is from the verse itself. It's from the Torah itself. What's happening here? Avram knows the qualities of Yishmael. Why is he such a fan of Yishmael? And it's not only that. There's a famous tale. I don't know how famous it is actually, but it's very interesting. What happened afterwards is that Sarah was very unhappy. She had Yitzchak, of course, but she was very unhappy of the presence of Yishmael together with Yitzchak. There are several reasons why. Some of them have to do with the fact that Yishmael used to tease Yitzchak. It didn't start today, started already then. But not only that he used to tease Yitzchak, he tried to kill Yitzchak. And there are certain explanations that he was an idol worshiper, sins of adultery and shfichut damim, killing. So Sarah said, send him out. Once again, he was about to die, and miraculously, it says, Ki shama Hashem el kol hana'ar ba'asher hu sham. Hashem provided him miraculously with water, together with Hagar. Again, we see that Hashem takes very good care of Ishmael, and he's not prepared to let Ishmael die instantly, even though he is aware of the angels telling him that Ishmael is going to end up behaving in a bad way. But still, nevertheless, Ishmael is, Hashem takes very, very good care of Ishmael in order to make him live on. And once again, the question is why. But let's go to the Medrash. So the Medrash says that yes, Ishmael left. However, Avram went to visit him. Avram went to visit him twice. Ishmael went and he married I think it was doesn't say the origin of the one that he married, but it does say that, I'll tell you the story. He goes there and he's in the Midbar, and he comes to Ishmael's home, and he turns to Yitzchak. Could be Yitzchak visited him. I'm not sure of that. The Medrash from Yalkut Me'am Loez, what he speaks about is Avraham traveling and meeting Ishmael. Sarah told Avraham, do not leave your donkey or your camel, whatever he used then, don't step off, because she didn't want him to completely connect to Ishmael. So he comes to Ishmael's home and he knocks on the door or on the tent. Is Ishmael home? And a young lady opens and says, no, Ishmael and Hagar, they went to the desert to hunt, to bring back water, to bring back whatever it was, food. So he asks her, I'm hungry. I came from a long way. Do you have for me water and bread? And she says, no, I don't have water and bread. So he says, okay, please tell him that an old man came by and said that he stopped by your home, but your home wasn't suitable for him. Mysterious words. What happened is that when Ishmael returned, so his wife, of course, that was the one that spoke to Abraham, told him that sentence, and Ishmael understood to send that wife away. Your house wasn't suitable was a hint that there was no Hachnasat Orchim, and Abraham was Hachnasat Orchim. He was the first one to introduce this idea, and this is something that Ishmael, by the way, until these days, they do have such a culture of Hachnasat Orchim, where certain things that they respect people that come in and treat them with Hachnasat Orchim. He marries a new wife, and this wife is from Egypt, but she is called Fatima, the daughter of their prophet, so-called prophet Muhammad, was also called Fatima, and they say that she is from Egypt. And then Avram travels once again, and this time he knocks on the tent, and Fatima opens the tent for him, and again, Ishmael was not there. Hagar was not there. They left again to bring food. And this time when he asked for bread and for water, she gave him. And he sent again a message to telling Ishmael that he was there, basically. So once again, what we see over here, that even Avram himself did not give up at all on his son. And by the way, Hashem tells Abraham, Uli Yishmael Shma'aticha. When Abraham asks Hashem, please, I will give him blessings. He's not the heir. He's not the one that is the chosen. He's not going to continue revealing here the world, Hashem in the world. However, he truly is he will be blessed. And that's why two things happen. First of all, Ishmael, they are very wealthy with natural sources. They are very fruitful with their descendants, their children. And third of all, Ishmael himself, at the end of the day, he did tshuva. He did tshuva, and we know that because the Torah says that when they buried Abraham, it says first Yitzchak, Isaac buried Abraham, then Ishmael buried Abraham. Ishmael recognized that Yitzchak is the true son. So he did tshuva at the end, and that's something that Abraham did see. So what is so special or so important about this Ishmael? And perhaps this is hinted in the beginning of the Parshas Vayera, when Sarah chases away Ishmael. Ishmael was basically a mirror to Yitzchak. He was a mirror to Yitzchak, and the simple explanation why Sarah chased him away is because she didn't want Yitzchak to learn certain behaviors from Ishmael. And he was there not only showing him bad behavior, but also he was teasing him about the story of the bris milah. What happened with the story of the bris milah? So, very interesting. There was, in the story of the bris milah, Ishmael was circumcised at the age of 13. And he needed to be convinced, by the way. It wasn't easy. Avraham needed to convince him. He was very aware of the meaning of the pain. Yitzchak was circumcised at the age of 8 days. And that is one of the things that Ishmael used to tease Yitzchak about. And he used to tell Yitzchak, what is it to circumcise at the age of 8? You don't know, you're not aware, you don't really, it's not as painful, you aren't as aware of the pain, you can't do anything against it. So it's not a chachma, it's not a big chachma. I was circumcised at the age of 13. So what is greater? And I want to ask you, what would you suggest? Who is greater? Ishmael for circumcising himself at the age of 13, or Yitzchak at the age of 8 days? Right. So we might think that seems to be that that Ishmael is greater. That's any person with a bit of logic would say yes. He was aware of it. So why still? So it seems like Ishmael, he is the one that that is better, at least in those terms. And here, by the way, just to show again the fund that we have to Ishmael, that the Torah has, there was a great rabbi that lived in the times of Rabbi Akiva. And this is the third generation, or the second generation, the border between the second and the third generation after the destruction of the second temple. So we're talking about approximately 150 according to the countings, right? So the temple was destroyed 70. Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Ishmael lived probably around 120, 150. And his name was Rabbi Ishmael. Why was he called Ishmael? Rabbi Ishmael. And he wasn't the only one. There was another Rabbi Ishmael as well. But he's the famous one. There's a few stories about him. And one of the stories is that he was basically put in prison in Rome. And he was a beautiful child, very good looking. And they told one of the rabbis that came to Rome that there's a Jewish child, that he's very smart and very beautiful. And he called out a pasuk, and the child answered him with another pasuk. So he understood that this is a very special child that knows how to answer in psukim, etc. So what he did is rescued him by paying a lot of money to the Romans to bring that Rabbi Ishmael. And he actually became a Rabbi Ishmael. He was a great rabbi. The Shloshes Midot Shatorah Nidreshet, what we say right before Haidu. It's a Mishnah that we say that there are 13 ways to learn the Torah, or attributes, or midot, or methods to learn the Torah. That is from Rabbi Ishmael. By the way, he was more simple. He was more simple in terms of Rabbi Akiva used to seek the drashot, the tales of the Torah. He was more connected to the basic level of the Torah. So we see even that Rabbi Ishmael, and by the way, they say that after he died, that the girls of Am Yisrael used to cry for his death. And why was that? Because he took very good care of them. There was once a story of a certain man that said, I swear, he said, he's never going to marry this and that girl. So the girl rushes in crying to Rabbi Ishmael, and Rabbi Ishmael saw why. She didn't look nice. She didn't have nice clothes, nice jewelry. So Rabbi Ishmael took care of that. He said, look at this girl here. Did you swear that you won't marry her? So he said, no, this is someone else completely. So he said, okay, you can get married. So he said, it's only the poverty that makes the girls of Yisrael look ugly. That's the quote from the Gemara. So that's why he took care of them, and that's why they cried after him passing away, because he was like a certain apotropos looking after them. So here we see once again that Yishmael continues to live on with us. What is Yishmael? So perhaps Yishmael is a certain mirror, a certain reflection of our behavior, or the way that our behavior should be. He is the son of Avram that is always looking to cause us to improve, to cause us to seek to behave better, to seek to connect to the truth. And it's interesting because we can see several hints to this idea, especially in our times. And I want to show you a video of the Rebbe. We're going to share screen now. I want to ask Mordechai and Rai, please, if you can enable me to share screen.
שהמצב, הוא מדבר על המצב מאוד חמור. על פי האיטי שיש לי מילה שלצה, השלשון מסתרקתי, האיטיות מתקופים מזוהים, אמרתי להיכנס ביותר וביותר. לפני שני עניינים, בין הערביים, גודל הטף וכל גזעים, לפני 40 שנה, לפני 30 שנה, בשייך של כמה דירות, של כמה דולרים, השייך הכי גדול בין הערבים. הלך כמה וכמה הצעירים, והצעירים רואים ממושמעים להיות שום דבר על אחרי עצמם מבלי להישב את השייך. כשרואים בשייך אפשריות שהתמד במתנו וקומה, רעיל וקשת וכייצא בזה, ראיתם מה שרוצים ממנו. עד המשתנה אמרתם מתוקר הכותל, הדין הצור של העניים, ועמדתי וגליסה בכנועים, ובמנויות ובעביות, ועצמאות וחודית, יש שמע של כל השישים בריתו ושל כל ריבו, זה בקיבו המיטה. אבל שאהבי וסובי ויותר, וריתו כאן לדור התחלו. והיא אפשר לקביק מססי ריבי כתר לבימונה, ריבי כל כתר זהו עלה, וזה המסיר לספפת, וזה מעלה יותר מזה. שערינו ודאבינו ונגיעו לזה היהודי, הכיוון הוא במטו נפשי. לפני 30 שנה, חלוציות היה סייל המלאכת, וצריך לאלתי ותשאלו, שצריך להתחלוץ, אברהם הוא פה ותורה, שהתמודד עם מטבע שיכול למצוא בקפסיר סקסר. עד הם מביאים כבר די 32 שנה, שאנחנו נמצאים בפתר, יחד על דורית נחית חיים בין, חיים של בידור. די זמן לחכוס עד שיורד המכונת לפי הכל שלמה, כי אמרת, כפי שאמרתי, לא מסוגל.
כשאתה הולך טיפה אחורה ורואה מה קרה, אתה רואה, והרבי מדבר בצורה חמורה מאוד על מה שקורה. הוא אומר, אני לא יכול לתאר כמה זה חמור המצב.
והחוש שאמרתי לפני זה, שאם ירד תקרא לדבר על זה, זה פעם ראשונה שאני מדבר. אבל להגיד בחוש הזו, כל הרבי שניסה בארץ ישראל, להגיד בחוש הזו בלונדון, ובוושינגטון ובפריז, באמת התקליט. והם מנצלים את זה. ודיבר שהצליחו שגם השלטון בוושינגטון, וגם כדי נתקיף כלל וכלל, וגם כדי לחפש דרך שהיא קל יותר, שהיא נוח יותר, או שיכולו לישון מתכנית ושמחה ושם נפש אמיתי.
ואז הרבי לוקח אותי לחלוציות, למתיישבים, וזה שפעם אנשים לבד היו באים ואומרים, תן לי בדרום, תן לי בנגב משהו, אני רוצה להתיישב, אני רוצה ביטחון, התיישבות. היום הוא אומר, זה בכלל לא מגבל, עובר לסוחר, כל העניין הזה של חלוציות.
יש בקשר, בחזי קשר הזה על ידי שיסדירו חלוציות, כן מסוגל לחלוציות העתות, וראית שונים החבר שונים הוא אידיאליסט המעבר, אבל כדי בצדק צריך להיות הפסקה באמת אחרת, באמת השם. והיום הראשון שרואים את זה על הפרק, צריך לשמש את המוות של הנער על הקשר שלי עם ארץ הקודש, שהם המשך אחד עם 30 דרך של בני ובני ישראל. ושלפני 35 דרך והרבה דרך נכנסו בארץ הקודש, שניתנו בארץ לנחל הסלע. איזה גזר וזה וארי וכולי, זה אלף שנה לאחרים. ולאחר זה יוצא משם. הנה עניינים בזה, כל הדברים שהם מסתכלים פשוטים, אבל ילד עד כמה יש סבלנות לשמור עניינים של תיאוריה, והם צריך להיות משהו ממשי, שהוא יכול להשתתף בזה בזה. וכשיש לפוסט לפני לשמוע את זה, ואתם רוצים השם לך, ושהכוון בזה לא ילך לישראל שום את זמן את העשייה, לפני 3,000 שנה, אבל שהכוון בזה לעברו, ולשת, לשלמת, שהוא כבר בתל אביב, ובחיר כך לדעת, ובחיר כך לדעת, ולא נזכר עם הקודש ברוך הוא, כשם נקנה ישראל. ובפרט כשאתם מצליח והשם של הילד מצלוח, אז זה דבר נתקבל על המטרה.
So it's very interesting what the Rebbe is saying. What the Rebbe is basically telling something that perhaps he didn't share it before. Perhaps it wasn't comfortable for the Rebbe to share before. It's something that definitely bothered him. Today, so there are a few things. First of all, it's two things mainly. First of all, the importance of the youth, the young generation, explain to them that the youth seeks truth. They aren't into manipulations. They aren't into politics. They don't have much. They want to know the truth. And the other thing is, what the Rebbe spoke about at the beginning is the fact that today we cannot bribe them. We cannot really change the situation or react to the situation, because people they escalated their conflict to a new level. And perhaps this is the story of Ishmael. The Rebbe uses the term the first time that I hear. He's speaking in the name of Allah. The Rebbe uses the name Allah. You are allowed to use it. It's a name, it's another term of God. And this is the story of Ishmael. Ishmael, they are here to tell us, to show us basically what we should be using. What are the terms that we should be using? They weren't always that such fanatim. They did not always use the terms of Allah, but they use it in order to show us what level we should be using as well. And this is something that the young generation has to know, that when we ask about what is the right to the land, it's in the name of Hashem. When you go and fight, you can't fight, this is my territory because my parents live here, or even 3, 4, 5 generations. Be reasonable and say that I'm not prepared to fight till the death over a piece of land. But because we know that this land is given to us by Hashem by a covenant, that is the real reason that we are fighting. We're not fighting just so we can sleep well at night. We are fighting because this is the promised land from Hashem. And this is something that if the younger generation knows, so they will be able to fight better. And it's unbelievable to see. I went to the army bases. I went in the north. I went also around Yerushalayim to put on tefillin to people. Real, authentic connection to Hashem. People that haven't put on tefillin since their bar mitzvah. Other people that live in yeshuvim that I can guarantee they're not religious and they don't support religious movements, but they put on tefillin. Unbelievable, because they know at the end of the day what they're fighting for. But unfortunately, this has to happen again after the Arabs show us a mirror of their behavior. Ishmael comes from Abraham. Ishmael does not come from a different, from Ham or from Yefet. No, Ishmael is from Abraham. By the way, according to Kabbalah, according to the Orach Chaim, and according to the Rebbe, Abraham had to give a certain room to impurity in a certain way, because there's no real shlemut, or there are always places where the chitzonim, the external forces, can get a certain yenikah, a certain profit. And that is why Abraham basically gave birth to Ishmael, because that was his way to release off all the tumah in the world. So when we speak about Ishmael again, he is with us all the time, and he's going to follow us until the times of Mashiach. There were many galuyot, there were many exiles. Ishmael is not one of the exiles. There was Galut Paras, there was Galut Bavel, there was Galut Edom. There's no Galut Ishmael. Why? This is a terrible Galut that we are in. And it's not the first time. The Jews in Morocco, the Jews in Algeria, the Jews in Yemen suffered for generations there also. The Jews in Saudi Arabia, there were Jews in Saudi Arabia that were killed by the Muslims in the times of Muhammad. They are not an exile. An exile is something that is against us. They are here. Maybe the term is to improve us, to challenge us, and to build us, to make us reveal who we really are. And it starts there from the discussion of Yitzchak and Ishmael. Who is greater by the bris milah? Ishmael says, I'm great. I did it at the age of 13. By the way, Yitzchak answered him, and Yitzchak told him, no, I am greater because my connection to Hashem is above understanding, above logic. When you do it at the age of 13, yes, you understand, you comprehend, you analyze the pros, the cons, and you decide to do it. I do it even without analyzing and thinking about what is happening over here. And this is the real way that we should, in general, react. This is what the world is looking for us really to do. They don't know of the real solution to fight such a thing. And here we've got to go in the name of Hashem, because the purpose is Hashem himself. Perhaps this can explain to us a bit about the reason that Hashem wanted Yishmael to live. Hashem wanted Yishmael to live to make sure that not only that we stay united, that we redirect ourselves and think about the reason that we are here and why are we fighting for this. What is the logic? And this is unbelievable because even people that aren't from, but they're not prepared to leave. Why not? Sometimes we can't even explain. It's above logic. But we know that we have a deep bond to Hashem himself and to the land. And why is the land, the second question, why is the land connected to circumcision? Because the land represents elevating all material things around us. And Hashem says, I'm going to give you the land. I'm going to make sure that the land itself will recognize Hashem. Leman dat kol amei haaretz, ki Hashem hu Elokim. So this is also why Avram himself was caring for Yishmael, his son, because he knew that he has an important role to play here in the world. So I just want to see if there were any other questions. That's our challenge, right? The younger generation, they don't care too much about Hashem, right? Unless they face, and this is, again, the mirror that we are seeing by the sons of Ishmael, that they're showing us, you've got to show why you're here, why are you fighting for? By the way, because, again, in the books or in the discussions of the people that came up with the idea of the Zionists, right, that started the country of Israel, they did not write about dangers from the Palestinian nation. There were Arabs around, but there was no official opinion about what do we do with the Israeli-Arab conflict. They didn't think that it would be a conflict, and it wasn't really a conflict. The conflict, in a certain way, starts because we need to be taught why we are here, and to know to shout Hashem's name, even if we're not under danger. And not only that, I'm sure that the people that were killed there, if it was in the dancing party, if it was in the houses in the Moshavim, I am sure that if they had the chance and the opportunity to think to themselves or to tell others, to tell their children, why are they killing us? They definitely mentioned Hashem's name. If by reciting Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, or just by telling themselves or their families that they are killing us because we are Jews. Because this is the real conflict, and it's a conflict between us ourselves. It's within us. The solution to the war can be easier. Sometimes we look, oh, I wish I could go run to the IDF. I wish I can volunteer. But the real thing is, there's not always, the IDF is very important to help. And don't get me wrong, I have a brother that's in the IDF. But sometimes the IDF is our own identity. Going out there and telling to people, say Shema Yisrael, put on tefillin, keep Shabbos. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Perhaps it seems too much pushing, but this is who we are. And now we see it. And now is the time to do it. The Rebbe spoke about after the 6-Day War, and not only after the 6-Day War, but 1948, when the country was established, that it was a et ratzon. It was a special time. It was a special moment for Am Yisrael to actually get close to Hashem. Not only to get close to Hashem, but to see real miracles that Mashiach could have came. There was one thing missing. We blew those opportunities. We did not embrace the opportunities. We did not say frankly why we are here. After Hashem giving to us such a miracle, should be it's not very easy because we've got the Yetzer Hara, but the Yetzer Hara is telling us, don't say it. We know that we say very clear, we are here to serve Hashem. This is an opportunity to come closer to Hashem. And once we hear, unfortunately, the struggles and the difficulties, so this brings us closer to Hashem. It shouldn't be in this way. And the solution is very simple. Getting again closer and closer to Hashem, each and every one in his way and his term. We cannot expect people of a certain age or young or old to go and fight in the front lines, of course. But it doesn't mean that by volunteering they are doing less of a good job. Each and every one contributes in his ways. And that is why for us, sometimes to contribute to this war effort is through increasing in Torah and mitzvahs. Thank you very, very much.